Bethune-Cookman team. You got some arms, some time, some good innings before this weekend. Just talk about the win a little bit.
Yeah, I think definitely a solid win against a very good Bethune-Cookman team. I thought our guys, a lot of different positives there. I thought the majority of our pitchers did a pretty good job tonight. Garrett Nuss, in his first career start, went out there and really did what he's been doing. Obviously did a nice job and got us off to a good start. Did some good things. Listen, I don't care how many games you've pitched in, to start your first game as a freshman or whenever it is in your career is a big deal. And Nuss did a great job, and I think it's pretty easy to see why we're so high on him. And then obviously, Scope followed him up and did some good things. And obviously as we continue to go with Brownie and Jimmy, and then obviously Roman there. I mean, those are all of our guys. We're counting on them as we continue to go down, and they need to get as much work as possible. And they all need to keep getting better. I mean, they do. Nuss needs to pitch down the zone, and Scope's command needs to keep coming. And Brownie, Brownie didn't pitch a lot early in the year. He had some few arm issues, but now he's getting back. So it's important that we just get those guys on the mound. So from a pitching standpoint, I thought we did a nice job. And we had some good at-bats early. Didn't have some great at-bats late. Unfortunately, that left it kind of a pretty good job, but overall not bad.
Is that a future role possibly for Garrett? I know he's valuable where he is as primarily a reliever on the weekend games, but maybe in future years could he be a starter possibly?
There's no question. I mean, it could be this year. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, there could be this year. I feel very good about Garrett Nuss, and I think Garrett Nuss can do a variety of roles. In some ways, you kind of look at it, it's almost hard to believe that was his first start, as good as he's been doing, but we just have a lot of those older guys, who have, they've kind of been through the trenches, so to speak, and they have that, confidence and aura about them. They can get out of jams. They've kind of proven themselves, and Ray Hansen and Matulis and obviously Brian Atkins. So those guys, I think once we made that switch, they've really solidified our rotation. However, Garrett Nuss, without question, has a chance to be in there, as does Scopland. And what I feel very good about, regardless of what happens the rest of the way, you get to a conference tournament and beyond. I mean, to have a guy like Nuss and a guy like Scopland, or whoever, to throw in game 4 or 5, that puts you in a pretty good position. So they obviously have a bright future.
Kind of have a different look at the lineup tonight, with 3 freshmen there in the lineup and Garrett coming in to pitch. Is it really an advantage for you as a coach to be able to throw the freshmen in with a veteran lineup there in the middle? Yeah,
there's no question. I mean, from a position player standpoint, we're an older team. The last 2 nights I've purposely tried to give a couple of guys some rest. That's when you get to this point of the year, that's where you got to be really smart. Sometimes it's the old adage, less is more. We got to be very careful about that as we continue to move on. I mean, obviously last night, I gave Darnell and Breen and Travis the night off. Ronnie didn't play tonight, so I mean, you kind of keep guys fresh. You got to continue to balance it a little bit. And I knew, look, we're going to get up and lift weights tomorrow morning, and then we're heading, to Hattiesburg in a very big weekend at Southern Miss.
Good to see Talladay show a little bit of power. I know he's having a good season hitting-wise. There's a lot of singles, though. But
he just hits, doesn't he? I mean, he just hits. I mean, I know I said it all the time, and I'll continue to say it. I mean, he's what a great hitter, what a great player. Just gets a job done. But yes, it's good to see some power. I mean, we need some power in the lineup. I mean, I've kept, I say it all the time that that's the style I want. I do want it. That's why Matos is up there hitting now. I mean, you've got to have guys that can drive the ball out of the yard. And I mean, you can't go up there, no matter what hitter you are, you can't go up there expecting a home run. I mean, that doesn't happen. You try to hit it, and you're just not going to do it. But obviously, it was great to see Talladay get going. And a couple other guys here and there. But we need to, as we move on to the season, when you look at this rotation, I was telling you, between left field and third base and DH, we got to have some guys that can drive the ball out of the yard. And so it's good to see that.
We're going into the 4th weekend of conference play. You kept the same rotation last 2 weeks. What are you thinking about for this week?
Same rotation. It'll be the same rotation, as of now, but same rotation, with Atkins, Matulis, and Hansen. Those guys have put a lot of work in these last couple of days. We were out there today, about 2 o'clock working, all 4 of us and those 3 guys and catchers, and try to clean them up a little bit on some different things, whether it's the mental approach or whether it's physically. And, those guys need to go deep into games. I mean, we talked about it yesterday as a team. We played on Tuesday, so we didn't have a chance to practice, but I recapped it, and I said, listen, these next week or 2, one of the keys is our starting pitchers have to go deep. I mean, our bullpen's great, but, obviously, Joe didn't throw the last 2 days, which is good. Roman, I was probably going to get Roman an inning in there tonight anyway, so we need to rest those guys. And, you can only rest them is if your starters go deep into games. I mean, when I'm not talking 4 or 5, we're talking 6, 7, 8, and that needs to happen. These guys can do it, but the way you go deep into games is to improve your command. That's how you do it. Okay, especially fastball command. The better your fastball command is, you got a greater chance to go deep into games. That's just a fact. Otherwise, no matter whether you throw 92 or you throw 82, then you got the off-speed pitches, try to trick them and do those things. And all of those guys have good arms. So the theme this week was those guys need to go deep into games and establish their fastballs.
Let's talk about the challenge this week in Southern Miss. Obviously, one of the top teams through the years, a very hostile environment in Hattiesburg.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a great environment. There's no question. I can tell you this, I love playing there, and I think the guys do too. I've got a lot of respect for those guys at Southern Miss, and I've known them for a long time, from when I was an assistant recruiting against them and playing against them. And those guys do a great job. It's one of those weekends. I mean, it's for everybody in Conference USA, but there's such mutual respect between our two programs. There really are. Heck, we stay together in the same hotel in the Conference USA tournament. And sometimes you always wonder about that, but we've got obviously a great relationship with those guys. But you're right. Look, it's going to be a great environment. I just told our guys, hey, look, Saturday's going to be their football game. So have a big crowd, that's great, good. Listen, you want to get to Omaha, you got to play in front of big crowds. It is what it is. We need to rise up. But we're looking forward to it. Listen, they got a great team. It's early in conference. They've got a couple. They lost a few position players, and they're one of the best recruiting classes in the country. They've done a great job, and they got some really good arms they're trying to figure out. So it's going to definitely be a challenge. I don't care where you go. You go on the road in Conference USA, it's going to be a battle.
Coach, what does it say about your team the last two games here? Games that I guess you go into thinking you should win, and then you handle both the games. What does it say about where your team's at mentally right now?
Well, we definitely expect to win. There's no question. We expect to win. I think we've won different ways. I think the one quality that you're starting to see with this team, I don't want to get too far ahead, but the one quality I'm starting to see, there's never a panic, which is good. There's never a panic. Look at Sunday, against UAB. It's okay, it's calm, there's no panic. We've won a lot of one-run games. We've come from behind in a lot of games. I remember, one of the things I always look for when you look at quality teams, look in their box and say the 7th, 8th, or 9th, have they ever come from behind? That's how you know if kids are battling and fighting and believing, and our kids have been doing that. So the one thing I'm learning about our team is we're definitely not panicking, and we're doing what we need to get the job done, and we need to keep winning.